Yes, election preparations are pretty wild right now, and we are just about to know who will be the next, or again, the same US president, right? And while I'm thinking there's so many things to think about when coming to election, we need to know which impact it could have, like this Black Swan event, on the stock market. And it's pretty sure that we don't see a huge surprise like maybe Kanye West winning, but still there's some couple of things that you should know before going into election trades. So first of all, I would like to ask you to subscribe to this channel and make sure to like this video, and then let's dive into the definition of a Black Swan event. Because by talking about the Black Swan event, it would be nice to know what a Black Swan is and why it's something that we cannot actually predict, even though we are talking in this video about it. So we need to put on our fantasy a little bit more today than usual and go into deep theories. Okay, so let's dive into the definition. So by definition, the Black Swan theory. The Black Swan theory, or theory of Black Swan events, is a metaphor that describes an event that comes as a surprise, has a major effect, and is often inappropriately rationalized after the fact with the benefit of hindsight. The term is based on an ancient saying that presumed black swans did not exist, a saying that became reinterpreted to teach a different lesson after the first European encounter with them. So let me translate. So actually a Black Swan event is something that we don't foresee, but has a huge impact on our stock market, for example. Okay, so 2008, 2009, 2007, when the financial crisis started to roll, it was a kind of Black Swan event, okay? The Rona situation was a kind of Black Swan event. It's always depending on the definition, but definitely those events came by surprise. And when something like this comes to the stock market, we see how the stock market react. 2007, 2008, 2009, the stock market went very much down for a couple of years. And then about in March 2009, we started to pick up when the funds of the Fed starting to take action. On the other side, you know, we saw what happened in March, where the stock market tanked 20, 30, 40%, and you know, some stocks are even until today quite affected. But I think that you know, what means the election for the stock market. In general, we don't have to be so much afraid, because you know, there is, let's say, a Biden win or a Trump win. In both cases, actually, if you go into statistics, then you will see, as of this graphic here, that the stock market goes up anyway. It doesn't matter if the Republicans or the Democrats are at the position in the White House, or, you know, I mean, of course there's difference between those two candidates. You know, Trump has the better, you know, corporate tax strategy, which will help the businesses in the US. On the other side, you know, under Biden, we might have the better sustainable energy strategy, which should help companies like Tesla, for example. And as we are thinking about these companies here, then it's worth to mention. However, it doesn't matter who really wins, in my personal opinion, and I never go into politics, so as you can see, I'm trying to focus more on the effect of this event on the stock market, which I think is now almost finished. Why? Because think about it, we are in a situation where the whole turmoil went already on, okay, of the election, and usually we have this turmoil every single time before the election, and then after the election, usually on average the stocks go up about 5% of the overall market, okay? So as you can see, there's not much things to fear, because there's not like 10 candidates and we don't know who will win, and I think the percentage of probability that, for example, a very much outsider like Kanye West is winning the election is very small. Nassim Nicholas Taleb was recently on CNBC, and I think he said something very interesting when he was asked about the overall economic situation. He said something that I said also before here on this channel. As you might remember, we are going into a consumer behavior change, okay? So even though we're coming back from this all Rona chaos, still there will be sectors that will never be the same, okay? Commercial travel. Do we really need to travel many thousands of kilometers per year, or rather save this money, you know, and have nice Zoom conferences? As we can see, it's working very well. Some people can work from home, so, you know, they don't need to come to the office. So not only retail will change with all the people ordering in the internet, but also commercial real estate will have a downturn over the next years. Now, this set to the side, what could be the really black swan event here for the elections? First of all, we can see some really having big riots in US, okay? There is already pictures from Washington DC where the people put barriers in front of the stores and secure some areas because they think there could be huge riots, right? When someone else than Trump wins, and, you know, overall, you know, just some drama when Trump don't want to leave the White House, something like that could sparkle some insecurity on the market. Though I don't think yet this is like a black swan event. The black swan event is something that we cannot predict at all, okay? So it could have maybe potential in, for example, the vaccine. Maybe we have a scenario where the vaccine, you know, take longer than expected, or can be not really ready because, you know, Rona just changing all the time, that we cannot get to a final product of a vaccine. You know, this could be a black swan event that we have to live with that for a couple of years, okay? This could be something that can really shake up the markets, okay? But this black swan events, you know, if you're thinking about the last couple of decades, they don't happen that often. Specifically those that are impacting the market so much that you could be scared that you lose everything, okay? It's very rarely that you lose everything. Companies don't get bust overnight. They are, you know, slowly dying out sometimes if they don't innovate, but overall the stock market goes higher. So you should always keep on mind that there is a lot of crash gurus out there. You should listen to them if you are interested in them and they have some, you know, proven, you know, I like to hear the beer stories, but make sure they don't affect that much of your personal thinking about the overall, you know, opportunities on the stock market. The stock market can be very rewarding, better even than real estate investing or other investing. And I want you to be very aware that those black swan events don't happen that often. They can happen, and exactly on the times where we expect them the least. So in the conclusion, I would like to focus your thoughts again on long-term thinking. Long-term thinking is so important, guys, okay? Even though there is some day traders and saying, you know, what do you think? You're just thinking you have something better? Well, this is why I saw this meme is very nice. As you can see, you know, long-term thinking is something, it seems like boring, but actually, if you're thinking about it, it's so unstressful investing that is super important. And that's why I'm thinking back to the election and the black swan topic. If you're having a long-term perspective, like Warren Buffett, for example, one of the greatest investors ever has as well, it's about really having the right mindset to overcome the short-term volatility, okay? If it's election, if it's a black swan event, if it's a crisis, if it's, you know, you're just thinking, well, if my thinking, and the stocks will go up over time, you know, obviously, you know, there will be some companies that will be stop innovating, but this is a period of a couple of years, and you can definitely see that coming if you are following your stocks very closely. But if you're having this long-term thinking that this election turmoil, then a small Rona crisis, then maybe some other turmoil on the market is just another great buying opportunity, okay? And this is what you should take away from this video. Doesn't matter if the election will become a black swan event or not, you should be covered if you're thinking long term.